further ado. Okay, so tonight I have created a little bit of new content because I am getting asked this a lot. Now, does anybody, let me just change my screen a bit because I've got a new laptop and it is giving me a weird view. Let me just see multi-speaker because I'll need other people. Ah, there you go. I can see everybody now. I could only see a few people before. So here's the truth, right? I see a lot of this every single week in every single flooring business that I work with, okay? You don't actually need more leads. Shock horror. Tom will be shaking his head with this. And surprisingly, you don't even need more sales, okay? What this is about is you allowing money to just quietly fall out of the back of your business. Just got another admission there coming through. So does anybody know what profit leakage would be? Come on, someone's got to put their hand up here and tell me.
Quantifying.
Go on, what was that, Rach?
Under quantifying.
Under quantifying? Nope. Adam?
I'd say like door plates and just accessories and bits and shits. Pardon me, French.
Exactly. Absolutely, it can be. But basically, what a profit leak is, it's anything at all that lets money slip through the cracks, whether it's cash leaving your business or missed opportunities to bring more in. So basically what it means is it's just about keeping more of what you actually earn. So some of these things might surprise you because actually a lot of this isn't about pricing incorrectly or over quantifying on or under quantifying on materials. It's quite a lot of the other things. So it's the quiet thing, if I'm honest. Okay. It's sometimes the not obvious stuff either. And sometimes these things are the things that actually cost you thousands every year, like thousands. I've got clients that have looked into some of these things and been able to save thousands instantaneously at a flick of a switch. So how this is actually going to work is I'm actually going to go through a couple of different scenarios with you in the first instance. And then what we're actually going to do is I'm going to send you all like a worksheet after this, which has got like a whole list of areas that I want you to have a look at, which are items that we're classifying as leaks. Now, what I want you to do is work through that worksheet, and just literally tick off all the ones that you think apply to you. And you're going to keep a score of those, and you're going to share that score with everybody, because if there are multiple ones that actually relate to you, then you've got to come up with what's called a power move to actually deal with those items. Okay, does that make sense? Everybody happy with that so far? Yeah. Okay. Couple of scenarios. Okay, so first off, you go to a quote, you knock a little bit off just to get it over the line. You then pay a fitter, even then when they had to go back and do the snag, and you've then, as a business owner, have got to eat the cost of that entire thing. Does that happen to anybody? Yeah, hands up if it does. You're on my screen down here, so I can do that.
Okay, so I'm pointing this way.
You're pointing that way, pointing this way. Okay, another scenario. Okay, so if anybody ever had this, right? So a customer you've done an installation for calls you months after the job. They say something like, I've got a scuff or a squeak in my floor, or there's something not quite right. But you haven't got a process, no paperwork, no comeback. What you do, just to keep them happy, just to keep them quiet, is you send a fitter back yourself and you cover the cost yourself. Who does that happen to? Loads of people. Okay. Now, that one might not seem like a big deal at the time, but in personal experience, those little leaks can add up to thousands. Now, an interesting thing that we did a few years ago, when we had 17 installers all going out, what we did was we started actually recording every single snag and callback that we had. We kept them in a big ring binder folder. We noted down who the customer was, what the order reference was, what the issue was, what the cost was, that we thought it was going to be, and then the actual cost. And we added that up over the 12 months. And I think some of you know this already, but in that 12-month period, it cost us £47,000 in lost revenue. Just in that one thing. So it's surprising. So if that happens to you more than once, that would be one of your power moves that you can actually instigate straight away. Start recording all of what those little costs are adding up to. Okay, so that gives you a couple of examples straight away. So what I want off everybody right now is an idea of where other people think they are leaking money, leaking profits. Okay, I'm going to go left. I'm going to go left to right, top to right on my screen because that's how it's going to work. Rach Harland, you can go up first. So you said before under quantifying material.
Yeah, what I meant by that was either whether it's the estimator not correctly providing the meterage, or whether it's when we're quoting, we're not including things like Adam said, every single door bar that's needed, gripper, fixings, all of that kind of stuff, and putting in an average nominal ad hoc cost to cover the odds and sods that come up on the job that you need. You can't charge the customer for because you've already quoted, but you haven't included on the original price. So as an example, I put 40 quid on every quote I do just to cover bits of shit that Doe's got to pick up from Wix.
Absolutely. Yes. That's exactly it. That is one great example. Andy Williams, what about you? Oh, you're on mute. Hang on. Take you off mute.
Mute. No. I can only think of the same sort of thing, really. Under quantifying, like, you know, you go with us, it's LVT, so there's a lot of, you know, screeding going down. Underestimate how many bags we use. You know, sometimes we can be 10 bags out type of thing.
Yeah.
But that sort of thing, really. We do put a miscellaneous fee in to cover things that we might have forgotten. But saying that, we also have it the other way. We can allow 20 bags for a job and only use 15. So I always think that over every year, they sort of things do sort of even out. But
yeah,
I don't know. Really. I don't know.
Awesome. Elaine?
I've probably got about 1 million of these. Loads of things, not actually accounting for charges for things like waste disposal, deliveries. I'd say that's slightly different to the kind of under quantifying because they're costs that you know are there, but they don't always get included in a quote.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, Ryan Fisher, you're up next.
So separate from what everyone else has mentioned, which we suffer from as well, but we print and go through a hell of a lot of paper in our showroom. It drives me mad because when we send a quote out, we print the quote out and attach it to the measure sheet. Then the customer changes their mind about, oh, can I have a quote for this in this room, that in that room? I don't want the underlay now. So then we reprint that off. And but we've got a brand new printer because the last one was really temperamental and we're printing so much stuff off that I think the ink cartridges cost about 400 or 500 quid to change, which might be once every 3 months.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly one of the things that people don't often see because it's hidden and it's just part of your process. That's an awesome one. Keep that on your radar, everybody. I'm not going to ask Chris because he's driving and that would be unsafe, but I'm going to Alex Neil next, who's cooking his dinner. And he knew as soon as he's like, I want to get that out of the oven.
That could be unsafe also.
Yeah. Is he going to unmute? Hang on, there you go. He's not allowing you to do it. Whilst you unmute yourself, Alex Neil, and get that dinner out of your oven. Pete G.
So anything like your phone, your mobile phone or your broadband, making sure you're not paying over the odds for that.
Yeah, Absolutely. So when was the last time you renegotiated your contracts for your home bills? Looked at things like gas and electric. That's your overhead costs. So yep, you're leaving money on the table there as well. That's a good one. Alex, Neil, we're in.
I know it's quite a big one, but could you just say staff that you just don't need?
Absolutely up there. Yes.
But you convince yourself you need them, and then actually when they go, you're like, Christ, I didn't need them, and it's all better now. But you kind of, people will surround themselves with staff sometimes and extra people, and then when you think about what they do and you don't sort of look at it and quantify it, it then kind of so that's mine.
And the potential saving on that useless staff member is an average 30 grand a year. Yeah, gone instantaneously. I know Richard Hughes can't actually talk. He's on the grinder. Look at him grinding away. Alex Derham, unmute yourself.
One down. I would say probably one that people haven't said before is probably personal petrol.
Okay. Personal fuel for your business, is that what you're saying?
So I get so obviously because I drive my van personally as well, and I'm like, I'll just put it through the business because it's diesel, it's fine. So if I go down to England, that's all right, I'll just put it on my business account. So I guess that, and probably like lunches. I don't do it too much, but like lunches, or like if maybe sometimes if we go out for dinner, like maybe just chuck it on there and be like, oh, we were celebrating for business and things like that. So that's what I'd say.
Perfect. Personal expenditure, love that one. Adam Plummer.
Yeah, I'm just going to stick with my door plates and kind of sundries and things like that. Just bags of rapid when you need to patch a floor before screening. Terrible for not chucking that in the quote, but yeah.
Great, cool. Ian Churchman. Oh, hang on, you're muted. You're muted, Ian.
Hello,
there you go.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
I would say for anyone driving a diesel van, the cost of diesel compared to driving an electric van. It's a tough one for most people, but it's the running costs are so much cheaper, especially if you get a second-hand electric van. They've been through some company. They reckon the average saves you £1,600 a year.
Wow.
Just by going electric.
Soon maps up.
And I drove to Bristol yesterday. This weekend, no problem at all with an electric. Everyone seems to think they're going to have to be stuck on the side of a motorway somewhere. But once you get used to it, electric vehicles are the best. So much cheaper. But what I was going to say is my own time. We got a job on at the moment. Plyboard had to go on site so that the fitters could start nice and bright and early and bushy-tailed. And that was 40 minutes of me lumping in plyboard. It's like, I could be doing something better in my time than lumping plyboard onto a site, But,
absolutely.
Flooring sales don't deliver further than the front door. And my fitters weren't there for 4 days later, So I think if I'd have spent £15, I could have got it delivered before 9 AM on the Monday they turned up. So I think I should have done that instead.
Absolutely. So it's about making good choices about your time, not doing those tasks. And Tom's just mentioned there, he has to go, but he's talking about paying for marketing that doesn't work and being able to measure a return on investment. That is another one that is also on my list as well.
I think Tom said to me about CFA being the one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Advertising at CFA.
Exactly. Natalie Remington.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm cooking, obviously. I was just thinking about all the time I waste by not being very organised. So the lads have gone to the unit in the morning to get all their stuff, and then they call you and say, "Why didn't you tell me I needed the door bars?" And then someone's got to go back to the unit and get the door bars. So it's I am my own worst enemy. So I think being more organised, like saving trips in the van, saving fuel, saving our time as well, and being more efficient.
Absolutely. All of those things are absolutely relevant. And I'm so glad that we managed to pick out some that weren't actually direct cost related as well. So some of those hidden things that we've just been describing there. Some of those hidden things are on my list, and my list is pretty extensive because I go in this when I'm trying to find where someone's leakage is coming from, I go through this list, and it is an extensive list. But the good news is for you guys is that along with a leakage problem, we've got a leakage solution. Okay, and so on this worksheet, there will be some ideas for solutions for you to start those power moves. And a power move is basically which one action can I take really rapidly and quickly and start straight away that I know is going to save me money instantaneously. Now, with some of the businesses that we go through on recovery processes, we do this at real rapid speed. Okay, so we might look at 2 in a month. In the first month, what are the quickest wins in that month? Then we'll do it again in the second month, and we just keep going and building momentum until we've plugged all of that leakage that is possibly there. Now, there's different categories of leakage, and that it completely depends on where you are in your business and sometimes in your business journey as well. So there's leakage in quoting and pricing, there's sales processes gaps, there's team and subcontractor costs, there's stock and supplier management, there's money leaks and time versus money leaks, which is what we were just, Ian was saying there as well. We've got marketing money leaks, and we've got compliance and admin gaps as well. So again, reverting back to what Natalie was saying there, there is actually 9 different categories. So the other things are customer lifetime loss value and operational oversights. So there's 9 different categories, all with different things in them. So I'm going to quickly just run through some of them we might not have actually you might not have even thought of before as well in each of those categories, because I think that's really important to you think outside the box and think of the things that actually you've never really thought of before, but maybe I need to look into this or I need to investigate this a little bit more. Okay, so if we're starting off with the quoting process, okay, so everybody knows this, quoting without margin protection is number 1 on there. So pricing just on a guesswork, that's not going to work. Pricing to match a competitor's price without checking your margins is another one. Mates rates, discounts, all of those things are really, really important to keep an eye on, because if you're not tracking them, the financial impact can be huge. Okay, so another thing that we mentioned there was actually, again, failing to raise your prices after materials or fuel costs have increased. Same applies the other way. If we're going to have some reduced costs somewhere, like what Ian was saying about if we know we're going to switch to an electric vehicle, is that going to £1,600? We're not going to have a fuel cost. Is it possible that we can actually be a little bit more competitive doing it the other way as well? Sales process gaps, that's the next one. Okay, so follow up. For fuck's sake, follow up is the thing that you're missing. You're leaving money on the table if you are not following up with your quotes. Okay, this doesn't have to be a rigid system. There is absolutely no point you going hell for leather and churning out 30 to 40 quotes a week and not following up on any of them. You're just guessing on a wing and a prayer that they're going to come back to you at some point. Okay, that leads to poor lead conversion. There's no urgency. There's no follow-up systems in place. The other thing that people leave money on the table with is upselling. Upselling is a huge gap. So could you upsell somebody from an LVT herringbone into a wood herringbone, for example? Could you get them to move up a range? It's all about knowing your products, is this as well, and is there a way of being upsell to upsell to that individual without it affecting your integrity? Right, here's the big one. Team and subcontractors. What I was saying before, keeping an eye on that snagging. Keep an eye on the snagging and the reworks and the money that you're bleeding everywhere because of the cost of doing poor quality work or having to go back for forgotten door bars or having to snag. One, it takes up your time. So your time is obviously important. Yes, you'll feel like you're kind of free in this whole process, but the hour on the phone that it's just taking you to resolve this, the rejigging of the diary to get somebody to go back there so that you can get paid, the ordering of materials, who's going to pay for it? Is it a fitter issue? Is it a product issue? Most cases, people will also just order replacement material because it's speedy and it's quick, and it also falls back on your shoulders. So that is a huge one that people don't look at. As Alex said as well, underperforming fitters, salespeople, or staff, you have to go. They have to go. You have to just make a deal with yourself. This person is just not bringing any return on investment into my business whatsoever, and I just need to chop them. And in some cases, that means, you know, £30,000 instant saving from just making that decision and not sitting on the fence and just waiting for them in the hope that they're actually just going to leave off their own accord, because that's quite often what most people do. The other thing with this is that there is no accountability for your fitters or subcontractors beyond the completion date. It's all fair and well having a subcontract agreement or an employment contract about what happens until the point of installation is complete, but what happens after that? Who is responsible for the cost of repeat visit? Who is responsible for the payment of your time to cover your overhead costs? What is the process for going back to a manufacturer if it's a manufacturing issue? You see, all these things kind of start then adding up, and then, you know, without a doubt, you're going to be balls deep in a lot of lack of profit. Next one was stock. So, big one with stock. Over ordering stock that then gets tied up. If you are over ordering stock and you've got 1 or 2 packs, or you end up with, you know, 4 or 5 packs of something sitting on your shelves, make the call to your supplier and actually see if they'll take it back. Because sometimes, even though they may charge a restocking fee, say 20%, it's much cheaper for them to take that back for you than it is to sit up on your shelf for years in the hope that you're actually going to be able to recover that on your next job. You've also got issues with things like batch variation. You've got changes to, I mean, I had some before that I had like 3 packs of something that was quite a popular product. And I was like, okay, on my next order that I put on with them, I'll use those 3 packs. When the new packs came, the tongue and groove had changed completely. That was an issue, because I then just priced the customer a little bit more of a keener price, because I had 3 packs in stock already. That was like money for old rope. It was just sitting there, but I couldn't actually end up using it. So I had to order 3 more packs. So it's best just getting it back off your shelf and getting it back in the shelves of your suppliers if you can. The other big one is, and there is loads in this section, not checking your invoice against your agreed price list. There are a lot of people in this room that I know that will be putting through 500 to 600 transactions a month through their accounting systems. That's a lot of invoicing. I've got people on this call that have got 11 invoices a day. Actually, they're not on this call. 11 invoices a day coming from from one supplier alone. Some of these are only like £10 or like £10 invoices. Some are much bigger than that, 2,500 plus. But how can you guarantee that every single invoice that comes through your door is matching the price list that you've agreed? And also, when was the last time you actually went to that supplier before placing the order and actually negotiated a better price on it? You're leaving money on the table. Next one is time leaks. Ian mentioned it before, your business owner doing 15 and 20 power admin tasks. Let's just not go there for that. We don't need to do that. And the other one is about poor delegation. So again, this is kind of coming back to what Natalie was saying, really, about, yes, you're not really organized, but could you delegate that task to somebody else? What process needs to be in place with that? And can you become a bit more efficient? A few different options in there as well. Compliance. So this is referring back to, again, warranty claims, complaints, snag issues, letting these things drag on. Time is money. And if you're sitting on it for 2-3 weeks, I mean, I've got some people that I work with that I've got a snap. I mean, they're not on the call, but I have somebody that is waiting to return for a snag issue that is waiting for £8,500 to be paid on this job. It's not a small one, £8,500, and this is nearly 19 months down the line, and it's just sitting there. It's £8,500. It'd be great, wouldn't it, if everybody was like, oh, I'm well off enough to be able to not call in £8,500, but we're just going round and round in circles with it. We're either going to need to write it off and we're not going back, or we just need to fix it. As Tom said, marketing. Spending on Facebook, Google, SEO, no trackable return on investment. If you're not tracking your calls and you do not know where these leads are coming from, again, you're leaving money on the table. You're spending money on stuff that you do not know is working. And the other big one in here is paying for things like CRMs, quoting tools, subscriptions for things that you never use. Go through your list of all of your debit. I think you can do debit card transactions and stuff like that. Get them cleared. Just cancel them if you're not using them. A good way to look at that is if you haven't used it in the last 60 days, get rid of it, chop it, recover the funds. Some people say, well, I might use it and it's only £6 a month, but it soon adds up the more years that go by and you don't use it. Next one's customer lifetime. Okay, so this is basically about losing the value of that customer even after installation has happened. So this is things like, they are going to be your biggest champion. If you've done a great job, ask them for a Google review. That Google review will probably convert you money later on down the line. Now, some people will do this really ad hoc, but if you actually get into a process of just doing it religiously on every single one and just plaguing and plaguing until you get it, then it's going to save you money in the long term, because actually that's a free way of being able to market yourself and it doesn't cost you anything. The other thing with this is about loyalty and repeat business. So how do we keep in touch with that person and keep getting them to buy from us time and time again? So we've done stuff like that. Big operational things. You'll be pleased to know this is the last kind of category. Number one that I see every single day of the week: directors overdrawing too much money from their own business and starving their cash flow. Look at what you're taking out yourself. Alex mentioned it before. The business covering personal expenses that don't belong to the business. It's skewing your numbers, it's skewing your performance. Give yourself enough personally to make sure that you've got those costs covered. Worst case, if you really want to, just put an expenses claim in. It's easier to do it that way than it is to just keep feeding yourself off little bits here, there, and everywhere through your business. And then the other big thing with this is not having any budgets or forecasts in place. If you're just reacting month to month, you're going to, again, keep leaving money on the table. Okay, so there's loads of stuff on here. I think there's probably about 40 different ideas of leakage that you'll find in your business. So most of these will not take months to fix. Okay, as I said before, you'll probably, when you start looking at these, you'll be drawn to maybe one or two of them, and you'll be really clear on introducing that power move. Okay, so power moves are basically, what are you going to do to plug that leak? Okay, Andy mentioned it before. So and so did Rach, actually. If you actually introduce, for example, you could introduce a small admin fee to every quote to cover minor variations. Could you do that? Is that going to cover your time for going out and measuring works? There are other things like get rid of the paper trail, Ryan. Just get rid of the paper, just go digital. How can you make a digital system work for everybody? It might not say, it's not going to break the bank, it's not going to save you thousands potentially, but it's those small amounts of consistency that's going to actually help with this. The other thing that you can do is when it comes to your team, so you can introduce what's called a no snag bonus. A no snag bonus means that every installer gets told, if they do not get a snag in this particular month, at the end of the month, they'll get a bonus of X. I also did it another way round for some when I was actually working with people, that we would used to do it. We used to hold a snag. We used to do a snag retention off them, just as the same as what you would do for any commercial contract. We actually held a retainer, a retention payment from our subcontractors, which was equal to, I think, 5% of the total work. And we didn't release it. It was only in there for 2 months, but it was just 2 months of a cycle, so that we could be confident that we weren't going to get a snag, a callback, or any issues with the installation that might actually end up coming out of our pocket. If they didn't have a snag and there was no cost associated with work, we then repaid it to them after 2 months. And that worked brilliantly. You should have seen how quick snags stopped. Okay. So there's loads of different things like that we can do. And again, on this worksheet are a load of kind of options for you, loads of opportunities for you to really start plugging those gaps with it. Okay. So what I want you to do once you've done this worksheet is basically, which one of these can I plug? So this is going to be the one that you move on. It's going to be a mission, and it's going to be a margin saver for you. So what you need to do is actually complete the worksheet. And then what you're also then going to do is, I'm going to put a post in the Facebook group. And I'm going to do like a hashtag post, which is going to say hashtag power moves in progress. And then what I want you to do before next call is I want you to report back. I want you to put in the group how many, I think it's out of 37, how many out of 37 on the list you get. So you might tick 16 of those. If there's 16 out of 37, give everybody a little bit of an insight into how many of these things apply to you that you could be plugging. But also what I want you to do is also put in that group what it is that you're going to work on and you're going to put in place straight away. That makes sense? Any questions so far on this? No? Go on, Ian.
So I know you've got a new CRM system in place.
Yes.
Does your CRM system have a really good follow-up for reminding you to follow up on a quote, or is it you have to write it in yourself to follow up on a quote?
No,
automated.
It is all automated with the workflow sequence that you want it to be. So, for example, I spent a full 9 hours yesterday. So, if anyone hadn't guessed, so Gary Lamont is the first real guinea pig for this brand new system, and I've actually wrote this whole thing for him. So, what this is going to do is from the word go of the initial lead coming in, it will come into your pipeline as a new inquiry. If it hasn't moved from that point, in his case, if it hasn't moved from that point within 24 hours, it sends him an internal notification saying, remember me, I'm a new inquiry, please come back to me. And it will keep doing that until he actually goes back to them or he moves them to the next stage. Same with quotes, same with follow-ups, same with invoicing, same with everything that you do in your business. There is a workflow that's being created for that.
Yeah,
so
I think I have that with samples. It's like I send a sample out.
Yeah,
and it's like, how long do you leave someone to look at it before chasing them up for, did you like the sample?
exactly that. And so with that situation, for example, you would have in your pipeline, so your pipeline title would be sample sent. As soon as it's sent, you move them into the pipeline, and then you would leave it, say, 7 days. It would then send them an automated email that says, hey, we haven't heard back from you. How have you got on with the samples? Please let us know if you've got any questions. Here's a link for a follow-up call. Again, you can also do it so that it'll then send them a day later, could send them an SMS with the same kind of message, just saying, hi, it's Ian, just checking that you've received the samples. Could you let me know? And then what it will also do then, say a day later or 36 hours later, is send you an internal notification saying, hey, Ian, I think it's probably best you actually follow up with this person by phone yourself.
I like the idea of making an appointment for a phone call. I like that.
Yeah. And it does all of that for you. So
yeah, I mean, we've already invested in a CRM, but a lot of the stuff we have to sort of pre-put in ourselves. We could automate it, but a lot of the time, sometimes you don't. A lot of our people signing up get automated emails back, and just to follow up twice. But you know, I forget that you can also put automations on samples and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so it just speeds up on that efficiency of it as well. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Great.
Any other questions? No, we're all good.
Are we going to get a demo of it when we get to quarterly?
I think you can just you can book an individual demo, Ian, straight with Johnny at Truth Digital. The reason for that is every single business will want to see different. There's so many different functions available,
Yeah.
and what will happen is Johnny will either have a discussion with you over the telephone first, get to understand your business, and then what he'll then do is put together a demo that's based on what he thinks is going to be beneficial to you, because there's certain modules that are probably non-essential to some businesses and some that are essential depending on what you need. So for you, for example, if you've got a CRM separate, there's no point in showing you the CRM, but what he might be able to do is show you the pipeline work. And also like the social media module that's on there is just phenomenal. So yeah, I would just book a call directly with Johnny for that one. Okay. All right. Okay. So just as a recap on this, what we're going to do is do a bit of time. We're going to spend a little bit of time on plugging the leaks in your business. These are just things that are either costing you money or that should be saving you money. That's as simple as it is. I'm going to send you all a worksheet for you to use so that you can just work through that. I want you to do two things. One is on the post that I'm going to put in the Facebook group. Give me a score out of 37 or whatever number it is, to tell me so I can benchmark approximately where you are in your profit leakage. It'd be quite surprising for everybody to see everybody else's kind of scores on that as well. Then the other thing alongside that is I want you to tell me one power move that you're going to instigate, you're going to start straight away, and that you're going to implement straight away. It might be, if you could work it out, roughly how much you think that could save you over the year. Because it would be really cool if everybody put, you know, it's going to save me 2,000. Imagine the power of how much money you could save in this room if everybody was able to save £2,000 each just by actually doing one thing. Yeah. So it's pretty powerful stuff. But don't leave money on the table, guys. It's some of this stuff is stuff that you already know, that you end up just firefighting all the time, and you don't sit back ever just to look at it and just really calculate what's happening in the business. So this is just a little bit of an opportunity to do that. Okay. Any other business, guys, for tonight, or am I free to go? Am I free to go? Excellent. Was that all right, guys? Like, yeah. So I've got a brand new laptop, and it's got two weird screens. And when somebody speaks, it flips to the bottom screen, and then when I speak, it goes to the top screen. So I need to sort that out because it feels like I'm doing this. But I'll sort it out for next week. It also goes like a book as well, which is very weird. It's got a duo screen and it's got a little fancy little keyboard. But here we go. Enjoy the rest of your evening, guys, and thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate your time, and I'll put the video in the Facebook group tomorrow. And yeah, if you're watching or listening back on replay, please type replay in the comments, and I will see you all next week.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye-bye.